pretty early on found myself in an abusive marriage where I was mentally abused, spiritually abused, verbally abused. And of course, when all you want to be is a wife, you overlook all the red flags leading up to marriage. I wish at that time I would have had mentorship, because I think things might have been different for me had I had the right people speaking into my life and asking the right questions. But I was so grossly independent. My parents, they just were hands off with me. They trusted me, and I should not have been trusted. I was not trustworthy, that naive, that young. I met him at 19, got married at 23, and I didn't know what red flags were. So how was I going to identify them as such? No, in fact, I married the red flag. I married the person who said he loved me, but showed no sense of love in any of his actions. There was nothing I could do to influence him to care or to show any regard for my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions. And I remember being so torn up about this and crying out to God one day, asking why did you give me a man that didn't understand me, that didn't care? And thinking that was just my lot in life, not understanding that I was being abused. Of course, I didn't see it that way. I was brainwashed too. I didn't think that the verbal abuse that he'd spew my way about how I was a terrible wife and how I didn't listen to wisdom and I was not submissive, all these biblical things just thrust upon me. I didn't see it as abuse because I didn't actually know what the symptoms were. I never took time. And of course, no one wants to marry themselves to the word abuse. No one wants to align themselves with the word victim or say someone's an abuser, because that just seemed too egregious. That just seemed too major of a title to cast on someone. And so I think I just lived really small, and I was manipulated into not talking about the underbelly of my marriage, the ugly side of it, because man, I had to protect his reputation, right? And so no one knew the prison that I really was in. Even though there was never physical abuse, it was extremely detrimental to me. And 5 years go by and I find myself loveless. I have a stone, calloused heart that had been made that way after years of reaching out for just intimacy in every way and just being rejected and defiled and used and abused and just dismissed, disregarded, all the D words. If I could go back and slap myself upside the head and say, think differently, I guess I would. But I think the Lord knew that there would be an expiration date, that at some point, people that he had commissioned to be my rescuers would come along and help pluck me out of this awful thing. But that didn't happen for a little bit more time. Because of my stoned, calloused heart, I found myself in a very big predicament. I remember it was the season I was doing The Voice. It was 2018. I was going out there and they had to do a psyche vow on me. They do it on everyone to make sure you're of sound mind before you enter into the show, which I get it, very responsible. And one of the questions I had was, Kayley, what is your biggest fear? And with trembling hands, I remember writing down that I would betray my husband. And I knew there was something so terrifying about saying that. And looking back, I can say now that it was because I knew it was possible. I knew it was possible that I would betray the person I was supposed to respect and love and honor and cherish, right? And subsequently, it's my biggest fear became my reality. I developed a crush while I was out at The Voice, and nothing ever came from it. It was a week-long thing where I was romanced by someone and fending them off and saying, hey, I need to respect my marriage. You can't talk to me like this. But it did something inside me where I was like, wow, for the first time I feel noticed and appreciated by somebody, someone actually cares about me. Okay, I'm feeling things I've not felt really ever. Okay, what do I do with this? And the onslaught of guilt and shame that began to be piled onto my spirit as a result of even the thought of having feelings for another guy. And I just kind of buried it. I didn't really do anything much about it. I certainly didn't pray. I still didn't have a prayer life, even though I still claimed Jesus. Flash forward 2018 in the fall, I meet these two women. I'm playing downtown Nashville, Broadway. They're coming up to me and they're saying, Kayley, we know you're a Christian. We can just tell, will you come and will you lead worship at a women's event that we're going to host? And I said, yeah, sure, why not? Well, that was the fall of 2018. That event did not come to pass until the fall of 2019. And what transpired in that year shook me and broke me and brought on an entirely crazy identity crisis where I did not recognize who I was. I remember a few months after I met those women, I met another man who, gosh, saw me for everything I wanted to be seen for. I mean, he learned all my music with passion. I mean, we became collaborators first, and I didn't have those feelings at first, but man, did I have that intrigue. And this person became such an intense collaborator that like everything we did together just seemed like it was electric, like it shined. I was having conversations with someone who cared about my future, who cared about my gifts, who cared about just giving me everything that they could in order for me to succeed and be successful. And I'm like, no one was interested in my dreams like that. I mean, my ex-husband had no idea what my dreams were. And yet we lived in Nashville, Tennessee for me to pursue music. And he could not tell you what my favorite things were. I would play these songs for him about like my grief in our marriage, and he didn't bat an eye. He didn't care. He didn't know. He was not interested. And now all of a sudden somebody was. And if I was that sponge under the sink begging for water, this man that I had just met came along and sprinkled me, and I came to life.